When is America going to finally stand up and embrace itself? When is America going to finally acknowledge who and what it is? When is America finally going to do something to proclaim to both its citizens and the world that it is either a totally racist institution or that it condemns racism in the strongest terms possible? Now, I don't know where I'm going to end up with this video, but let me just start with the latest. If you're not aware of it, Roseanne Barr issued a racist tweet earlier this morning in regard to Valerie Jarrett. She said in her tweet that the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, and it was Valerie Jarrett. Now, this is not the first time that Roseanne Barr has made a racist statement comparing a black woman to an ape. If you're not aware of it, she made the same type of comment regarding Susan Rice, claiming that she was an ape with balls. This was a while ago. But folks, it's not just this latest departure from basic humanity that, upset me today. It's a combination of all of the things that we have seen over the past year and a half. Racism has reared its ugly head and done more than that. It's come out from under its sheets to proclaim that it is alive and well in America today. If you're not aware of it, the amount of police brutality towards black citizens and people of color other than black citizens has undergone a rapid increase. You have to be blind, deaf, and dumb not to recognize the fact that police in this country are trained to treat black people as threats, no matter what their age, no matter what their sex, no matter what their mental or physical condition is. Anytime a black person comes into contact with law enforcement, it has the potential to escalate into a situation where there is a loss of life. And I am not joking. Am I saying that all encounters with the police will end up that way? No, I'm not saying that. But enough encounters with the police where there is a loss of life and with no accountability for the action taken by the police actually has become the norm. Now, Jemele Hill called Donald Trump a racist, and she was not wrong. But ABC, through ESPN, which was Ms. Hill's employer, decided to take her off of her show. They didn't fire her. They suspended her for a week, and then they placed her on a portion of ESPN and called her a reporter. Well, Fox News, or Klan News if you want to call them by a more accurate name, decided to attack Jemele Hill. for receiving an award from the National Association of Black Journalists. And as usual, they were able to easily find a person of color to give them cover, in order to make their claims. But again, folks, that's not unusual. Fox, for whatever reason, can find a person of color that basically does not reflect the views of how most black Americans feel. Today, Starbucks, to their credit, has closed all of their stores in the U.S. and is providing diversity training, bias training for all of its employees. And again, I have to salute them for that. But folks, there's just been too many of these instances where people of color are being downtrodden by the racist system known as the government of the United States of America. I refer you to the fact that Donald Trump has made numerous statements that, in my mind, reinforce the fact that he is a racist. I refer you to the actions that he took during the Charlottesville riots last year, and how long it took him in order to take a single step back from his statement that the Klan, Nazis, and alternate right people are good people. And he had to be pushed in order to take one step back away from that statement. I refer you to his chief of staff, General Kelly, who savagely attacked a black congresswoman and lied, absolutely straight out lied on this woman, claiming that she was trying to toot her own horn in proclaiming how she was able to help obtain financing for a building down in Florida, where the truth was she did not take any credit for the obtaining of that building. She gave all the credit to John Boehner, who at the time was the Speaker of the House, and helping to obtain the financing. To this day, John Kelly has never apologized for his disparagement of the Congresswoman. I point you to the fact that a study was just released regarding the deaths in Puerto Rico from those 2 Category 5 hurricanes. The government would have you believe that only 46 people died from those 2 hurricanes. But the number was actually closer to 5,000 people. And Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens just like anyone else from any other part of the country. And I point you to the fact that when Florida suffered hurricane damage from the same 2 Category 5 hurricanes, and Houston, Texas, and the surrounding areas suffered damage from the same Category 5 hurricanes, the response from the U.S. government was dramatic and overwhelming. Yet, our president, or the president, went down to Puerto Rico, threw out a bunch of paper towels, and declared that response basically a 10. And 6 months, 9 months later, the island of Puerto Rico still has not recovered. Their power grid still is basically unstable. Their citizens still have left the island for Florida and other states within the country. And all of them state that they would love to return, but the conditions in Puerto Rico are just not safe. And then you have a Republican congressman who is championing the thought that any person from Puerto Rico should not be allowed to vote in the upcoming primaries and the national election. Well, newsflash, my friend. Puerto Rican people are U.S. citizens, and upon establishing their residency, no matter where it is, have the legal right to vote. Now, let me just say one further thing as far as the racism in this country. White America has a problem. And that problem is going to be nothing but exacerbated over the next 30 years. And hopefully, God willing, I'm still alive to see it. The birth rate of white America is down substantially. And all of these white politicians know what is coming. Black people, even giving the high abortion rate, our numbers are increasing. Brown people, the Hispanic people, Puerto Ricans, Mexican, Americans, etc., their numbers are rising. White America's response, as stated by the Supreme Court today in a lawsuit brought by Planned Parenthood against the state of Arkansas, indicates to what lengths this system is willing to go to try to prevent something that cannot be prevented. The state of Arkansas issued a law that would not allow any type of medical abortions. And when I say medical abortions, I mean that a woman would go into a Planned Parenthood clinic, of which there are only 3 in the state of Arkansas. Her pregnancy would be short term at the point that she entered the clinic, so that a doctor could issue her a pill to take within his office, and then medication to take when she got home approximately 24 hours later, which would cause her to abort the fetus. And I'll call any combination of male cells and female cells, I'll call that a fetus, even though it's not legally a fetus until it reaches a certain term. Well, the state of Arkansas recognized that if it could prevent white women from aborting their fetuses, that it would help in the growth of the white population. And they are dogmatic in their need for the number of white babies to be born, to the detriment of all other things. Now, this may just be the beginning, but I saw recently a show on Fox, and I saw the paranoia in their face when they were discussing the growth of the U.S. population and how fast the Hispanic population was growing, and at the same time how fast the black population was growing, not at the same rate, and how slowly the white population was growing. And as a matter of fact, they were indicating that the white population was going to begin to undergo negative growth, so that within the next 30 years, they will become a minority portion of the of the overall population of the United States. There's a lot to unwrap here, folks. But basically, the bottom line is this. In 30 years, no matter what these racist people do, there is going to be a reckoning. And when that reckoning comes, I hope to God that is a peaceful reckoning, because the levers of power, one way or another, are going to be stripped away from white America. And I have to tell you, there's a whole lot of them out there that are not gonna like it. How they react is basically what you see here. A wall that states racism versus a flag that represents oppression. Something is going to give. The question is America going to stand up and do the right thing, or is it going to crawl through the mud, be dragged through the mud in order to hang on to whatever it considers to be its birthright, let's call it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Hopefully this Roseanne situation is going to be resolved, and the way that I would love it to be resolved would be for ABC to sell that show to Fox, and for that show to be replaced by a positive black show by the name of Rosewood, which was canceled last season by Fox, and it was a great show. In my mind, that's a nice even swap, and it lets ABC make a statement about how it feels as far as racism and the lack of opportunity for people of color is concerned.